When you're working with kids, what kind of regulations do you have to adhere to that are different than, say, regular adult SAG rules?
Okay. Children, by regulation, by SAG, by rule, cannot work the same hours as an adult. If I hire you as an adult, I can just keep you at work. I mean, I can keep paying you more money. Overtime, double overtime, golden time, it gets silly. And it has diminishing returns, and the quality of everybody's work goes down with long hours. With children, the breaks are by age. There's 6 months, 1 or 2 years, 5 years, 6 years, 8 years, 9 years. Each little section, as you get older, you get to work with them more. And it changes throughout the year. When they're in school, if you've got a 9.5-hour workday on a child under the age of, I think it's under the age of 15, you have 9.5 hours of work. Now, whoever said you can take a 14-year-old kid and work them 9.5 hours, that's interesting. But that's what the rule is. And out of that 9.5 hours, you take an hour out for lunch and then 4 hours out for school. So out of 9.5 hours of work, they get 5 hours or 4 by the time you take out makeup and hair. Okay, so now if I've got to run a series around a child, and he's in most of the scenes, but out of a 12-hour shooting day, I get him for 4 real shooting hours, broken out over 9. You've got to be very careful about how you schedule his time and how you write for the child. Each kid has different breaks. You can have a child that's taken the GED at 16 and they're emancipated, and then theoretically you can get some breaks there. If the kids are in summer, then the school qualification goes down because they're not in school. Some kids are homeschooled. Some kids will go from a regular school that then has to interact. It gets a little squirrely. You always have a school teacher on set or a welfare worker. And you also have restrictions when they get young about, like little infants, you can't put them under a certain amount of light. There's a whole light level that they're restricted to. And they can only be on set very small amount of time. So you'll usually see they'll hire twins or triplets, or they'll hire sets of twins. Because once you get so small as an infant,
they all kind of look like the same.
As long as you don't have a red-haired baby and a brunette baby and a blonde baby. In fact, I had my son as an infant in a film once, and you saw his face for all of about 3.5 seconds, but
which is all he was legally allowed to be on for.
Yeah, there's the baby, and that's it for the baby.
And it's gone.
Yeah. So there's other restrictions. For example, with an adult crew, you can do what's called grace at lunch, which means if lunch is due at 1 o'clock and you're still in the middle of a shot and everybody's set up and you're rolling and you've got one take in, I can call grace, and that's an additional free 12 minutes. Not free, but an additional shooting 12 minutes. And I can continue to shoot. At minute 13, I start paying meal penalties. Yeah, I can call an extension. Another additional 30 minutes, it doesn't matter. But I can't do that on kids. Every 6 hours, they have to break. There's none of those kinds of tricks for kids. You can't pre-call them for hair and makeup and think that doesn't count against their time, because the moment they show up, they're on the clock.
Even if they get there early?
Even if they get there early.
So you don't want them to get there early?
No. I mean, if they show up and have breakfast on their own time, I don't care.
Oh, okay. But from the moment that
they clock in, they're on. The clock is ticking. And there's other tricks, like you can split call them and things like that. But it's very complicated. You need to be very heady about what you're doing. And my crew that works underneath me, I work very closely with on tracking the times, because you have to give them their school during the day, but I can break it into sections.
Right.
It could be 20 minutes. Some teachers will give you 10 minutes. It depends on who the teacher is. And if I only get an 18-minute block and I need 20, the 18 doesn't count. So we could all be sitting there ready to go, and we're waiting on a child for 2 minutes. $10,000 every 30 minutes, waiting on a child. What are you going to do?
Avoid working with kids, I guess, unless you're
kids and animals.
Doing a kids show.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Greg, for sitting down with me.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.